the mysterious god of death in ancient Egypt. Anubis. All right, picture this. It's 3,000 years ago. The sun sets over the golden dunes of Egypt, casting long shadows across the land. The mighty pyramids stand tall, their secrets buried beneath layers of time. But tonight, something stirs beneath the sand. A presence. A figure moves through the darkness, its silhouette barely visible under the eerie glow of the moon. A jackal-headed god, watching, waiting. His name, Anubis, the guardian of the dead, the guide of lost souls, the one who weighs your heart against the feather of truth. And if your soul is too heavy, well, let's just say it's not gonna end well for you. Who is Anubis? Let's break it down. Anubis isn't just some minor deity. This guy was the OG god of death before Osiris took over the role of ruler of the underworld. He's been around since the very beginning of Egyptian mythology, long before pharaohs were even a thing. Imagine ancient priests whispering his name in the dim glow of torchlight. They feared him, they respected him, they called upon him to ensure the dead found their way safely to the afterlife. But here's the thing, Anubis isn't your typical grim reaper. He's not here to punish you. He's not some vengeful god waiting to drag you into the abyss. He's a judge, a protector, and his job to decide your fate, the weighing of the heart. So imagine this, you've just died, your body embalmed, mummified, wrapped in linen, placed carefully inside a tomb with treasures and offerings to help you in the afterlife. But your soul, that's another story, because now you stand before the scales. Anubis watches, his jackal eyes unblinking, his presence cold but steady. This is the moment that will decide where you spend eternity. On one side of the scale, your heart. On the other, the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth, balance, and justice. If your heart is lighter than the feather, congratulations, you've lived a pure life. You get to move on to the field of reeds, an Egyptian paradise where you'll live in eternal peace. But if your heart is heavy, with lies, sin, and guilt, Anubis does not show mercy. The devourer of souls, Amit, lurks nearby, part lion, part hippo, part crocodile. If your heart tips the scale in the wrong direction, Amit will consume it, and you will simply cease to exist. No afterlife, no second chances, just gone. The black jackal, symbolism of Anubis. All right, let's talk about that jackal head. Why does Anubis look like a black jackal? What's the deal with that? Well, back in ancient Egypt, jackals were a common sight near cemeteries. They were scavengers, always lurking near tombs, feeding on the remains of the dead. Egyptians believed these creatures had a deep connection with the afterlife. So what did they do? They turned fear into power. By making Anubis a jackal-headed god, they flipped the script. Instead of seeing jackals as a threat, they saw them as guardians, protectors of the dead rather than destroyers. And the black color, that wasn't just a random choice either. In Egyptian culture, black symbolized fertility, rebirth, and the rich soil of the Nile. It wasn't a color of evil. It was a color of transformation, which makes perfect sense, right? Anubis doesn't just represent death. He represents what comes after. Anubis in modern culture. Fast forward to today. Anubis is everywhere. Movies, video games, books. He's become one of the most recognizable gods in history. Why? Because he represents something universal. Not just death, but the idea of what comes next. The unknown, the mystery, the judgment. Whether it's in Assassin's Creed, the Mummy movies, or even Marvel Comics, Anubis continues to haunt our imagination. And maybe, just maybe, that's because deep down, we all wonder what will happen when our time comes. When you stand before the scales, will your heart be lighter than the feather? Time is a river, and every drop holds a story. If you've journeyed with us through the echoes of history, we thank you. Honor the past by leaving your mark. Like the video, subscribe to the Forgotten Scrolls. And if there's a mystery of history that haunts your mind, let it be known in the comments below. The past whispers. Will you listen?